All right. And we're live a minute or two early, or three, as it were. Looks like I have already a lucky contestant, number one. Mr. Carnivore Ron. Nice. Good to see you here. Hey, Ron, while I got you here, how's my mic sounding? Is I'm doing a mic check. You're the only one here so far. The number one. Can you hear me at all? I'm hoping I got this thing on. Seems like it's on. Checking to make sure I don't have myself muted. Mic is working. Thanks a lot. I watched a YouTuber. This was a couple months back. A different topic. The poor guy went on for 12 minutes, and he was a pro. I mean, the guy was this wasn't his first rodeo, and he went on for 12 minutes with his mic turned off before all 150 people in the chat were screaming as loud as they could to turn your mic on. But anyways, so now I have to check every single time. So thanks a lot, Ron. So I'll wait another minute or two and see what happens here. So well, I guess we're on deck for a chat tomorrow, Ron, so which is cool. And got my Carnivore Campfire Chat coffee. Can't go without it. All right. So here we are. A couple of us in here. Somebody else dropped in. Let me know where you're coming from, where you're tuning in from. Say hi. Don't be bashful. I know Carnivore Ron. And I know where you're coming from, Ron. But you can toss it in there if you want to. I appreciate it. But so I got notes laid all over the place here. I'm not going to drag it on too much longer here with waiting for people to come on. They can come in and I can address them as they jump in. But if you come in, hey, announce yourself. I like calling people out. I don't call people out. I announce their arrival. Let's put it that way. I don't call people out. Don't take that the wrong way. Anyways. So I already had a mic check. That's the very first thing on my docket. Ron says I'm coming in 5x5, loud and clear, which I'm grateful for. So give you a quick topic outline of today's live, or the weekly live, the Friday Campfire Chat. I'm going to cover the comment of the week, and I absolutely love this thing. So I'll cover that here in a couple of minutes. I also have a very fond childhood memory that I'd like to share. Something, it's personal to me. It's not going to mean anything to anybody else. It is meat related, to put it that in that context. So it's not completely obverse to our carnivore theme, so to speak. I wanted to talk about the importance of hobbies on a personal level. And I've got more hobby. I collect hobbies, so I got more than I need to share, but I've got one in particular that's always fun to play with. And I want to talk about the importance of hobbies for personal growth and personal health, mental and physical, and everything that comes with it. And lastly, a little bit of a personal challenge to everybody. Nothing that's going to be, nobody's feet's going to be held to the fire, but just a little personal challenge to think about. Hopefully I can drag you around week to week, and we can grow the audience and grow the interaction amongst people. I got 3 people here. I know where Ron is. Ron, you're coming in from, you know where, you're home. Got a couple other people. Drop in here so I can see where you are. Tell me where you're from. I'd love to make an announcement of people that are here. So I got a note. I got my notes here, and I wanted to, this is my favorite comment of the week. And sometimes I get more, sometimes I get less, but this one it made me laugh, and I'm laughing right now. Anyways, this comment comes in from a viewer by the name of Grateful Monk 3798. And I quote, "If you had to choose allowing a thief to steal your car or your supply of hamburgers, which would Captain Carnivore choose?" Okay. This one I knew the answer immediately. I just had to think about it for a second before I responded. And naturally, in Captain Carnivore fashion, I wrote, "Looks like Captain Carnivore is walking to work." So anyways, that was my favorite comment of the week. I have a lot of respect for humorous inquiries such as that one, which I had to read 2 or 3 times because some of my comments are not humorous based, but that one, I like that one. That one was fun. So I can scratch this off my list of my comment of the week section. I'm going to try to keep that one going. So if I get any more good comments through the week, I'm going to pick the best one and share it, because it's I don't know, it's kind of fun. A little segment that I'm going to try to have going every live. So okay, yeah, Ron's coming in from Michigan. I knew that. Thanks, Ron. So I've got a childhood memory that I'd like to indulge for a moment. Little Captain Carnivore old school story. So we got Stoker. All right. Welcome. So when I was a little boy, and my folks, we had relocated from over on the west side of Washington State to the east side. And this would have been in 72, maybe 73. I was just a poopa, just a little guy. And anyways, so we moved on to our homestead, for which my mother still lives there, believe it or not, age 84. She still chops and stacks her own wood and all that kind of fun thing. But so one of the things that was extremely important when I have got an older sister. She's 7 years older than I am, 6 or 7. Can't remember. Anyways, she's older than me. Young family on a large homestead. And I think we had like 80 acres, 80 to 100, something like that in the very beginning. My dad was an avid hunter. So hunting was an important part of my culture growing up. So long before I was able to hunt, my dad was obviously harvesting deer every fall. I mean, that's what, he looked forward to that. He finally got his homestead, his property. So this was a thing. And I didn't, at the age of 6 and 7 and 8, just because I could go out and shoot a ground squirrel doesn't mean I was big enough to go out and hunt deer. So the deer were being brought in. Now, this ties into a very, very interesting memory of mine that's very fond to me. So harvest the deer in the fall, hang the deer in the barn. We always hang the deer for about 2 weeks and let it age, blah, 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 blah. And on a deer carcass, deer meat, venison, is very lean meat with a fat cap on it. Basically, that's their insulation. That's how they keep warm in the winter and all that kind of fun stuff. So at the end of the 2 weeks, Dad would bring this thing up to the garage and to the shop garage. We never parked anything in there. It was a shop. And we'd fire up the big old barrel wood stove, and my mom and my dad would commence on breaking this thing down. And to give a real quick backstory, all right, lambs, I'm a Dutch representative today. Okay, perfect. Welcome aboard. So, anyways, so deer venison was basically all we ate. I mean, back in the 70s, when I was growing up, and this is the honest to God truth, I knew that grocery stores existed, but I don't remember ever even going into one. My mom had a multi-acre garden that she took care of. She still has it, still runs it and everything. We hunted, my dad hunted geese, occasionally turkeys, but mostly just venison. And so that's how we fed the family. So anyways, growing up until I was probably, I don't know, 10 years old and wandered into a grocery store out of curiosity type of thing, did I even realize they even sold this stuff? But anyways, getting back to the story. So we got this deer in the garage, I should say the shop, heated shop. And, it's a family event, and I'm too young to be left alone in the house, running around, getting into normal childhood trouble. So I'm out in the shop with mom and dad. But mom and dad are playing with a lot of sharp knives, and knives are a real special thing to me too. We'll find that out some other time. But anyways, so I wasn't really welcomed to come over and start hacking on the year's supply of venison. Or sometimes we'd get 3 deer to feed the whole family. But anyways, so in order to keep me occupied, my dad, they're trimming off the fat cap off this venison. And he would trim off a piece, and it would have a little piece of meat on it and a big piece of fat. And he'd toss it to me. It sounds kind of nefarious in a way, but almost I'd be there like a little puppy dog waiting for my dad's attention. But he'd give me a piece, and I'd run over to the barrel stove, and I'd just throw that sucker directly on the barrel stove. Old rusty barrel stove, cranking the heat because it was cold and everything. And I'd sit there and I'd fry this thing up, basically making a little crackling, with a little teeny piece of venison on there. And I would, pick it off with a stick, literally a stick, almost like chopsticks. So if you want to think of it that way, let it cool off and eat it. And then when I got done, Dad would give me another piece. And it was his way of keeping me involved in the process, but probably more importantly, keeping me away from where the work was getting done. And yet, he knew that, I wasn't going to burn myself. You're only going to burn yourself one time before you realize that that's not what's going to happen. But at a young age, and even until I was quite a bit older, when I was actually hunting and we were still breaking deer down the same way we'd done it for 10 years, we still carried on that little tradition. Except maybe I'd go over and cut my own piece, throw it on the stove. But I tell you what, if I had a venison up there right now, I'd go fire that stove up. I wouldn't care if it was in the middle of August, just so I could relive that memory. But anyways, I wanted to share that with you. I think about that often. It was a fun, it was a wild upbringing, let's put it that way. But throwing chunks of venison fat with a teeny bit of meat on it onto an old rusty barrel stove, that's fine living right there. It don't get no much better. You can't convince me otherwise. I was spoiled. Other kids would go to the grocery store and get their junk food and whatever else. Not me. I had to fry my own venison fat with a little piece of meat on it all by myself. I wouldn't have it any other way. So we've got a few other people on here. So we've got a Dutch representative today. That's interesting. Anybody else that's on here, let me know where you're coming in from. I'm always it's always kind of fun to see where people are tuning in from. So I covered the childhood memory. Now I'm going to jump to kind of the I'm not going to jump to the end segment because we just started here a few minutes ago. But my dad's been gone for over 20 years, and I'll be I'll start off being brutally honest and blunt, and then get soft after that. So my dad was kind of a hard ass. He was a loving hard ass. Let's put it that way. And being a teenager, I probably didn't make his life any easier. Hey, raise your hand if you were a teenager at one time. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. So, all that said, for all the normal family drama that can come about from having a teenager around, and believe me, I'm raising a grandchild who's 14, so I'm reliving this all over again. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, when my dad got sick, and the last 2 years I had him, and when he was around, we covered a tremendous amount of territory, conversations, and I guess what I'm leading to is we created memories on an accelerated pace, and we created fond memories. And my dad's been gone. Like I said, for over 20 years, and if there's these memories that we had right at the very end are the only thing that I can remember him by. Not 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 the previous 35 or whatever, of the teenage syndrome years. So I would say do your best to make memories with the people that are in your life that are special. Make good memories, make positive memories, and not in an intentional fashion. Do positive things, do fun things, share family love with the gatherings and all that kind of stuff. And that obviously perpetuates into fond memories. And if they're really fond memories, then you can recount them and relive them and even create memories upon memories. And I have plenty of those. Anyways, I jumped ahead in my notes, but I wanted to tie that in with the story that I just told you about my folks, and we're breaking down a venison. So simple little things. You couldn't have convinced me even at a young age, or hell, even at an old age, that the activities that we were doing back then would have any bearing, or that I'd be sitting here telling a bunch of bona fide strangers on YouTube this story, but it really was impactful for me. So, all right, I still have a couple of people. Jump in here. Let me know where you're from. I'd love to hear where people are coming in from. It would be awesome. So I covered my personal challenge. Make some positive memories. There you go. Ron. Yeah, you remind me of great memories I've had with my dad. So, there's, for me personally, not all memories are great. Got plenty of ones that are not worth remembering. But I will tell you that the ones I do remember are the great ones, and even the good ones, even the mediocre ones. Stoker, you're coming in from Kincardine, Ontario. Did I spell it right? Did I pronounce that right? Kincardine, Ontario, Canada. Well, welcome. That's awesome. I had people dropping in from Europe last week and Australia and all kinds of fun stuff. So I love this. This is great. I appreciate you doing that. That means a lot to me. I like to see where people were chiming in from. So part 2 of Campfire Chat. So I was going to lean in a little bit on hobbies. Now, before I start blabbering about some of my personal ones here, and you may get an idea here of some of the hobbies I've got here. This is a 3D printed sign. Everything behind me is basically 3D printed. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but not in a breakdown of the science of 3D printing, but more of the hobby aspect. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the importance of hobbies in some people's lives. And some people have lots of them. Some people have one. Some people have none. Some people want to have a hobby and don't have one yet. All of the above. Now, Ron, I know that you're a musician that's probably taking it to a level of hobby to where it's as my mom used to tell me, and I was a hobby kid. I had more hobbies than I knew what to do, I've gotten worse. I'm a 55-year-old child. So, but she told me one time, she said, you know, some of the things that you have done the majority of your life, she said, they're hobbies by some people's metrics, but from your perspective, it's something that you have to do. It's not something that you choose to do. You know, hobby is like, you know, I'm going to try this. You know, I'm going to try knitting or something. You know, pick one, and you try it, and maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Whatever. If you do it a couple of times, turns into a hobby. It's something you do to kill time or whatever. It doesn't matter. There are a few things, and Ron, I know you well enough to know that you play a lot of music. You compose music. You play guitar. You play the piano. You got a lot going on with that. And I have those kinds of hobbies too, not music necessarily, even though I do play the guitar, but not like you, my friend. But they are hobbies. But like my mom told me one time when I was quite young, she said, you know, these are things that you just have to do. You're soul driven by them. And yeah, I've got a couple of those, but they're far outnumbered by actual hobbies. So enough chit chat about that. Let's do a little show and tell. So obviously back here, well, actually back here too. Let's see if I can tilt my camera. I've got pictures of, it's hard to see. I can't pull them off the wall without breaking something, but I'm a big Viking Norse enthusiast. So I've got Odin back here who's crawling out of the wall. I've got a 3D printed statue of him here with a golden mustache or beard. Fenrir, the Norse wolf. Simple little toys. Like I said, I'm a 55-year-old child. What can I say? But so another thing that I've done a few years ago that I started doing was taking my 3D printing to there's a gentleman that created this program for 3D printers, and essentially it's painting with a 3D printer. Now, not using paints necessarily, it's still using the same function of using filament and stuff like that. And of course, this right here is not an example of this. This is my personal design that I printed into a great big thing in different sections and put it together like a puzzle. But what I've got here to show are some prints that I did a few years ago, and I'm going to get back into doing this because they're super fun. They're thin like paper, but they're 3D printed, and they have texture to them. They kind of like a bas relief. In other words, the texture stands out on it. And so here's a Roman gladiator guy. I got samurai. I kind of like that one a lot. Some of these, and I've got, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so we have a lot of Indian culture here. So I have a high respect for our Indian culture friends. And so I made that guy. Yeah, I've got a whole pile of them here. I'm going to spare you all the details, but I did make some that have a really nice frame that I designed for them, which is kind of cool. But there's Merlin, the magician. Anyways, the point is that the importance of hobbies for me, and I'll tell you an important aspect of hobbies. It was when I was a drinker for 30 years, and I'm coming up on 15 months sober. Thank you very much. I'm proud of myself. Hobbies were something that I gravitated to while I was drinking. So it was like, oh, I'm going to go down to the shop and do some work. So I grabbed like as many beers as I could carry or whatever. And it was kind of when I had made the decision to quit drinking, I thought, well, what was I using my hobbies for? I have personal gratification for making things, building things, destroying things, whatever I was doing. But I always had it tied in with a drink in my hand. And I've come full circle on that. I don't do that anymore. I mean, I don't, from one, I don't drink anymore, but number two, my hobbies have taken on a whole different outlook. And I've integrated them into my carnivore lifestyle. I always refer to that carnivore lifestyle. If you've watched any of my latest videos, you're sick and tired of hearing about it. But the carnivore lifestyle, the keep it simple, turns into routine, then it becomes sustainability and sustainable and all that stuff. The hobby aspect of it, for me personally, is incredibly important. It's imperative to have something in your life that you personally own. Ron, I'm going to call you out here. You're a musician, and you're a really good one. And like I said, it's a hobby, but it's something that you have to do. I'm guessing it's something you have to do. I mean, in other words, it's really ingrained in you. It's in your soul. And you own it. I mean, that's yours. And it's a great thing. It's a great feeling. You can gravitate towards you. You can pick up a guitar and slip into your own mindset. Wherever your happy place is, you're going to be there immediately, doing whatever tune you want to play, or you're working on a new one or playing an old one, doesn't matter. I get into 3D printing, and I've been doing it for about 5 years now. And I mean, I come up with, this is not my design, but you may have seen this on the wall. I love dragons. My wife doesn't care for dragons, but she loves pink and purple. So I made a compromise, and I made a pink and purple dragon for her, which she loves, by the way. I'm more along the lines of a bit more manly things, like my red-eyed eagle here. See if I can get him into view here. Anyways, these are the kind of things that trip me out, and I've got this crap all over my place. But in addition to that, I love designing stuff. I can go online and find a file, hit a button, and my printer, I've got 2 of them sitting over there. They start printing all by themselves, which is great. But I get an opportunity to really exercise even some of my other hobbies that I have, tools that I need, different designs for different aspects of basically tools, to be honest with you. And so I'll sit down and I'll design the tool and print it, 3D print it. I've got lots of different filament. I can print it out of almost anything, as long as it's hard plastic, soft plastic, rubber. I got rubber, you name it. I got more than what I need. The point is that I keep my brain constantly. It's constantly just, it's a terrible affliction. It won't stop. It just keeps going and going and going. But it's a wonderful thing. And I tell you, eating the carnivore lifestyle has kicked that into overdrive. Call it the ketosis, or the ketones, or the whatever you want to call them. It doesn't really even matter to me. I just know that when I get into a creative mindset or a creative spirit, in particular with one of my hobbies, 3D printing in this case, I feel like I can't be stopped. It's cool. Now I'm sitting here on my YouTube channel, and I'm showing you my hobby. I show my wife, and she rolls her eyes and says, "I got to go take a nap or something." She's not really impressed. But I'm here to. Nobody can sit here and tell me to quit showing off my hobby. So, anyways. That's my hobby section this week. I think probably once a month, maybe I'll drop in some other hobbies of mine. And man, I've got a plethora of them through the years. I was just trying to think today. I mean, COVID was a big hobby era for me, probably for a lot of other people too. But and I mean, I got in, I got in, I made bull whips for a couple of years, made several bull whips, which I have 2 or 3 left, and I'll show those in a month or two. Obviously knives. I mean, I got one right here. I mean, so I've been making knives all my life. That's kind of like one of those things that I have to do type of scenario. Like I was telling Ron, no, I'm not going to put that up there. I'll probably drop and cut myself. So these are more than hobbies for me. their lifestyle, or they've been integrated into my lifestyle. But and I've got plenty more. I cast pewter. I got a couple of items up here that I've designed with my 3D printer. And then I cast my own pewter trinkets, toys, and whatnot. So I've invented fidget toys using my 3D printer. I've got a couple of 3D printed inventions. Invented a filing jig for my knives that I 3D printed last year. It took me about 6 months to design and fine tune that. It's down in my shop right now. I'd go down and show it to you, but I'm not going to do that. It's a great big thing. But it's the wonders of the carnivore diet that I attribute it to. Yeah, it's a labor of love. Yeah, you keep striving to do your hobby better. Boy, isn't that the truth, Ron? Isn't that the truth? You know, that's like I said, that becomes part of your soul. You know, the striving for better all the time, improving. You know, if you weren't striving to improve, then I would question why are you even doing it? I mean, yeah, there's obviously you're doing it for, you know, because it's an enjoyable activity for you or whatever. But there's a lot to be said about trying to constantly improve. And to me, that's like, and then being able to measure your progress, you know, even just to yourself, is phenomenal. I could sit here and I could bore you all to tears about my favorite hobby of knife making, or for that matter, blacksmithing. I was a blacksmith for damn near 20 years. And all the things that I learned through the years of blacksmithing and knife making, forging knives, making Damascus, all that crap. I did that for a long, long time. And when you first start a new hobby, like I've started so many of them, you kind of delusion yourself with your personal expectations. And I had to temper myself down a little bit. Like, listen, you get an idea, you want to build something, it's going to turn out like crap. Let's just be honest. You know? At least I'm just coming from my experience. So if you want to stick with it, you stick with it with trying to get better and better. Ron knows this. I've gotten into making chainmail. I got that's a whole other affliction that I have yet to shake. And I've started a second piece. I got done with the first one here a few months ago. And so I have to clean my entire table off here so I can actually work on it, because it's taking up the whole table at one time. But just a small smattering of things I'll cover in the future. So let's see what we got here. So Ron, you're still on here. I got 5 people. Hey, if you're new jumping on here, let me know where you're coming in from. We've got Stoker coming in from Ontario, Canada. I've got a Dutch representative, which is fantastic. I hope you're still here, which I think is great. If anybody else is on and wants to jump in and say hi, that would be awesome. Trying to do these lives once a week on Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time. So I've got more things coming. I'm trying not to get overzealous, because I could easily short circuit myself with all my ideas that I want to do. But there's certain things I want to add to my lives and to my channel, and I'm working on them slowly and surely. But you know, like they all say, like and subscribe. I appreciate it. So let's see what time we got here. It's only been half an hour. Shoot. I went through my content too darn fast. So I'll go back and cover the personal challenge. Didn't really cover that a whole lot. Making memories. That's great. I mean, that's not even really a challenge. It shouldn't be a challenge. It should be second nature. But I will say this. Let's look at this from a different angle as far as a personal challenge. Think about something that, for example, this next week, let's just assume you do the right thing and you come back this time next week and join me. I hope you do. I hope everybody does. Bring your friends. But within the next week, take a moment to think about something that you've always wanted to do, something you've been curious about, something that maybe you've tried doing and may have enjoyed it, but haven't done it in a year, 2, 5, 10, 20 years, whatever. Maybe it's fishing, maybe it's fly tying, maybe it's kayaking, maybe it's doesn't really matter. Think of something, and I'm going to come full circle with this on a final thought. Think of something, and I'm not saying go out and do a deep dive into it right away. Although if you want to, you wouldn't hurt my feelings. But if it's something that can bring personal joy to you, or you've always been curious about it, one thing that we all have is not enough time. We're all on borrowed time. And if there's something in your personal life that's you, like I have always been interested in, name that thing. If you let time slip by too fast, too aggressively, you're always too busy. Hey, believe me, I get it. I'm raising a 14-year-old grandson. I know all about busy. So, but there's, you might say, well, those are just excuses. Well, no, those are reasons, and they are excuses. But if there's things in your life that you've thought about, that you've always wanted to do, at the very least, do some research, become emotionally involved with it again. I'm not saying, believe me, I've got hobbies that I've given up, several hobbies for logistic reasons. And I've given up some hobbies because it's like, you know what, been there, done that, scratch it off my list. I'm good to go. Move on to the next one. Some of them I cling to for the rest of my life, which is great. But if you don't take advantage of some of your spare time, either maybe your hobby is reading, maybe you read whatever your genre is that you like to read, or music in the case of Ron, or whatever. And I love music too, don't get me wrong, but something that involves indulging yourself on a deep level. In other words, you're not doing the dishes, that kind of thing. You're building something, you're educating yourself, or you're learning something, or here's a big one. Share something with somebody else that is willing to learn something you already know. This is a big one. I love teaching people. I'll give you an example. And this is not a love to teach people, warm and fuzzy thing, but at my current work, when we bring on a new person into my work area, and I've been there, I'm one of the old guys. I'm the one that's walking around with the short straw to indoctrinate the younger people, the younger kids. And some of them are not really that young. Some of them are in their 40s, but they're still my children, so to speak, or I have to work with them like they're my children. But I've got decades of experience in my line of work. I'm not the best at it. I'm not the greatest, and I sure as hell ain't the fastest at it, but I can communicate what I need to convey to somebody that doesn't know anything about anything, and keep their attention focused. Now, if you have something like that you do, and you find somebody, young, old, doesn't matter. Hell, even old is fantastic. You're never too young to learn something. Then take the opportunity to teach, instruct, influence them, get them excited about it. And there you go. That's a hobby all in itself, teaching people what you love. I mean, what's easier to do than teaching somebody something that you love doing? It's real easy. It's real easy. So got some more people dropping in. Hey guys, drop in the chat. Where are you coming in from? Love to hear where you're coming in from. Like I said, we got somebody here from Ontario, Canada. Ron, you're coming in from Michigan. I know that. And we've got somebody as a Dutch representative, which is fantastic. And I would really love hearing where you guys are coming in from. It's cool. I mean, I'm coming in from North Idaho, so I'm in the Pacific Northwest, stuck up here in the woods, the beautiful woods, by the way. beautiful stormy woods. We had a big storm come through yesterday, which is kind of interesting, but um, I, I'm not here to talk about the weather, but it is kind of cool. Oh, we have upstate New York from Lisa. Lisa, welcome aboard. Welcome from upstate New York. Thank you for dropping in here and putting in the chat. I love that. Thank you. That means the world. I mean, I, I'll tell you something. You're talking to an old homestead boy that grew up uh, in the east side of Washington State, literally out in the middle of the woods on a big homestead. When I had neighbors, most people now when they think of neighbors, they lean, like Wilson on Tool Time. You lean over the fence, hey neighbor, and wave your hand or whatever. Where I grew up, you were a neighbor if it didn't cost money to make a phone call, as in like long distance phone call. So, I mean, my neighbors were spread all over the damn place. If you were in the same county, you're a neighbor of mine. So I love seeing people jump. I didn't even know there were, like I told the story earlier about going into a grocery store, I didn't even know they sold meat there, for heaven's sakes, until I was probably 10 years old. So seeing people come in from all over the world, it just makes an old guy like me feel pretty good. So I got to check out soon. Mrs. Ron is landing in about 10 minutes. Right on, Ron. I'm going to be talking to you tomorrow anyways, but I'm going to be signing off here in about 10 minutes. Timing will be just about right. So I covered everything on my list. Next week, I'm going to double down on my list. A couple of these things I'm going to have on there. Hopefully I can get some good comments on the channel so I can have repeat my Campfire Chat comment section, which I thought was great. I'm going to read it again for a couple of people that are hope maybe here. Is there anybody here that missed it? I opened up the segment with my favorite comment of the week. I'll read it again. I'm a simple-minded man, so it's I still laugh at it. Comment comes in from Grateful Monk 3798, and I quote: "If you had to choose allowing a thief to steal your car or your supply of hamburgers, which would Captain Carnivore choose?" And my response, naturally, is looks like Captain Carnivore is walking to work. That's I'm sorry. I still think that's funny. Made me laugh then, makes me laugh now. And let me tell you, the world needs more laughter. It needs more sharing. It needs more fun memory making. Needs more time with family. Sounds like I'm getting ready to sign off here with how I start talking like this. But probably just as well. But when it's all said and done, like I was saying earlier, we're all on kind of borrowed time, not to get all droopy eyed here with coming to the realization that we're all mere mortals. But we do have a limited amount of time left. And it seems like a long time, and it is a long time, until you let 10 years slip by, until you let 5 years, 10, 15 years, and you start thinking about, the memories. And I start thinking about, the fond thing, the memories of the camp. I mean, I got Campfire Chat memories just sitting around campfires, for heaven's sakes. Those are all meaningful things and are meaningful to me and others that I shared them with. I couldn't comment with my greasy chicken wing fingers, but I liked your 3D models. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And greasy chicken wing fingers. Hey, that sounds magnificent. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, the 3D models. I could spend I'm not going to turn my Carnivore channel into a 3D printing channel, but for God's sake, I sure could. I probably have more 3D printing content than I do Carnivore content, but and I've made jewelry out of it. My wife is she's committed me. She's committed to me, but she's thinking about committing me. So I'm I'm a grown kid. What can I say? So anyways, so go out there, make some memories. The challenge, the personal challenge, I'm not going to hold anybody's feet to the fire. There's no pressure, but think of something that you've always wanted to do. Think of something that you may have done, have forgotten that you even did, or think of something, read a book if that's what what you're really into. Do some research, find somebody that does what you want to do and lean over their shoulder for a little while. Do something. Take some action. I promise you won't regret it. You won't regret it. And then take your newfound knowledge and your inspiration and your love of whatever it is and spread it on to somebody else. That's how we make it through this mess, if you know what I mean. So guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I had a ton of fun. I'm having more fun as I do these every week. I want to thank everybody for chilling out with me, rambling on about childhood memories and all that kind of fun stuff. Leave some comments. If you say, if I hear one more childhood memory, I'm going to find out where you live in North Idaho and I'm going to egg your place or something like that. And then I'll stop. But let me know if there's any positive or negative feedback coming from your angle of things that you might want to see or things that you might want to see. For example, what I had to eat today, I had 1 burger patty, 5 slices of bacon, and a piece of sausage. There you go. That's what I had to eat today. That's all I'm going to eat. So, we always like to chit chat about, what'd you have to eat today or whatever. So it's a simple topic. And my coffee, I got to drink my coffee. I mean, well, I don't have to, I choose to. It's not carnivore, but it's carnivore-ish. It's carnivore enough for my level of carnivore. So pardon me while I slurp into the mic. Thanks. Enjoyed your chat. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. And you're the Dutch representative today. God, I hope you come back next week. I really do. This is a ton of fun. I enjoy it. And I'll tell you one last parting thought about this carnivore thing and doing these lives, hell, even doing YouTube in general. I've heard other YouTube influencers on the carnivore diet. All right, Ron, take care, buddy. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Tell Mrs. Ron hi. So, oh, shoot, what was I talking about? Ron skates out of here and I lose my mind. Oh, whatever. I'm human. Oh, we're talking about the lives and eating the carnivore diet. So when I've lived in a mental state of mental breakdown, catastrophe, and foobardness from the very beginning. Maybe it was all alcohol induced at the time, probably so. But one thing that changed was it's almost like you can almost think of it as courage. Yes. Have fun, everybody. All right, Stoker. Yeah. Thank you for dropping by. Everybody, you guys have fun. So the courage that comes, the ability to do something different, the ability to communicate with other people, the ability to put yourself out there. I never thought in a million years. Even the people that know me close, not all of them know that I have a YouTube channel because I don't want them to start really worrying about me too much. Not to mention they don't give a damn about carnivore. So why bother with them? But the people that do go, whoa, man, you've really stepped out of your shell. Like, well, maybe I have, but it's a lot of fun. I'm dragging you all along for the ride. You can hang on tight. As I always tell my wife when we go for a drive, I said, get in, sit down, hang on, and shut up. But no, I'm just kidding. I don't tell her to sit down. I never tell her that. Anyways, more Captain Carnivore humor. Don't tell my wife. All right, guys. Seriously, I'm going to hang it up for the evening. Same time, same station next week. Please drop by, say hi, let me know where you're coming from. And yes, have fun, everybody. Couldn't have said it better. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll catch you next time.